This Liberty Sports Update is brought to you by Beacon Credit Union.
It was good to have another Sunday that we could celebrate a win. You know, that's I tell our guys and our coaches all the time, the longer I've coached, winning the football game is never easy. I don't care who you play. It's just there's too many factors that can happen, and too good of coaches on each sidelines to ever take anything for granted in whatever game you play. And so the day that we stop being able to celebrate winning a football game is a sad day. So our kids did, and we celebrated it, and it was extremely fun to get back to 500. And now some more work begins as we turn the page to New Mexico. We did we awarded 2 scholarships in the locker room, as many of you had seen, and that's a joy that you have as a coach. And happy for both Aiden and Austin. They're very deserving, and obviously they've done a great job for us this season, and happy to do that. Then moving to New Mexico, it's their quarterback, I'm going to refer to him as Tave, if y'all don't mind, because I would really butcher his name, and my apologies to him. But he, ever since he took over in the Notre Dame game, they have really skyrocketed offensively. I mean, the numbers that they've put up from the second half of the Notre Dame game with him through this past game are pretty staggering. And so he presents a problem, both throwing and running. Joe Daly, who many of you know, is an excellent football coach, football mind, and has a great offensive plan. It looks like you're watching our offense. That's good in some ways because we can go against our defense some this week in practice and hopefully help them with some of the things that they will face. Obviously, I have respect for Bob Davie. He's been in this business a long time, and I think he's gone to 25 bowl games, so he knows what he's doing, and I think his return will bring probably an extra excitement from their kids. And it's going to be a great task. I mean, they're very difficult to defend offensively, and it starts with their quarterback. And they've thrown to 15 different receivers this year, which is a lot. And I think their offensive line is one of the more athletic ones that we've seen. I compare them to Buffalo, offensive line-wise, but maybe more athletic at tackle. They're long and lean and move extremely well. So it will be a tall task for our defense on Saturday evening here. Defensively, they've given up points, but they do some different stuff. It's some strange stuff to me, and so it's kind of awkward to prepare for some of the things that I've seen on tape, and kind of struggling with how much do you spend time on some of the stranger things that you see in the way that they prepare to defend you, and it's different from week to week, and so that's a challenge. We'll have to figure some of that out. I like going into the game with the first drive kind of in my mind, knowing exactly what I want to do, and this will be a little more difficult. It's just simply because it's almost like they've had a different flavor each week to try and prepare. They have, and they're too deep roster on defense. They have 19 junior college transfers, and so. They're new. They're people that our team didn't see last year when they played them, and I think that 33 is back, who was their captain, and he tore his ACL last year, and he's their Mike linebacker. Really good player, hard-nosed, tough player in the middle of their defense. He kind of is their leader, and so defensively, it's just you're playing against a lot of transfers that you don't know a lot about, and a system that's new. It's a new coordinator, Jordan Peterson, and it's kind of a mixed bag of what you get, and so we'll have to do some figuring out. They really did a great job against Notre Dame for a quarter and a half, and when I watched that first quarter and a half, it had my full attention. Because of the way they were running to the football and the different variety of looks that you were getting. And how they disguise who the extra guy is in the box, and it's some different things. So we've got a great challenge. I'm glad it's at home. Our crowds have been good. We need them to be great this Saturday night. We really need everyone to be here, from the student body to our fans to the Flames Club. It's going to be an exciting night, and I think you'll see a real exciting football game between the two of us.
Coach, I want to go back and ask you about the scholarship you're able to award to Aiden and to Austin. I mean, obviously that had to be special. I mean, what was your mind and how you wanted to do that, and how much fun is that?
It's become a thing, I think, around college football, and I didn't want to make ours too big of a deal. I've thought through this for quite a while now, because I want to be prudent in who deserves them and how when they get them and all of those things. And obviously you have to manage the roster limit, but those two have performed extraordinarily well. And when you have one available, I think they've earned it. And I talked to both sets of parents the night before, and almost forgot about it. We got through celebrating the win, and I was getting ready to walk off, and I saw one of them, and thank God I did, because that's when I wanted to do it after that game, and just special for those families. And I think through all scenarios too, but you wish you could give one to everybody that spends every hour with you, on that team. And so you hurt for those, because there's others that want them too, but certainly you celebrate with those kids and their families, and they're very deserving of it.
Kind of a bizarre first quarter, I think, maybe. If you go back and look at it, a couple touchdowns called back, and then I don't know, just it took a while. There were a lot of penalties, too, I think, on both sides. I mean, just how did you assess that first quarter when you went back and watched it?
I thought offensively we were very, very efficient, except for the second drive. Defensively, had some breakdowns, and obviously the penalties. I couldn't believe it when I looked at – we only had 6 penalties. It felt like we had 30, at the end of the game. And 3 of those were on special teams, and called 3 touchdowns back, which I've never seen before in a game. And so, it was a little bit strange, but it felt like a long first quarter. I do know that.
Jonathan Bennett said Saturday that he was out for the season. Do you have an extent of what the injury he sustained, and is Emmanuel Dabney going to be good to go Saturday as well?
He tore his PCL, and he is out for the season, which is unfortunate. And we'll get him ready, and he'll work to get back. And that's I've said it many times that injuries are the most difficult part of coaching. And all he wanted to do is, my initial reaction was, I want to get on him. But then, he was so excited for his teammate. That's what you want in a teammate. And it's just a freak thing that happened, and it's unfortunate for him, but he'll move on. Dabney, the report yesterday was he's day-to-day for practice. I would anticipate him trying to go, but have no idea until we practice tomorrow exactly kind of where he is. And that's the case with several guys.
I know it sounded like he was clear to play this past week, but didn't get out there. Do you expect him to play this week?
Yeah, I don't. No one ever told me he was cleared to play last week. I wish, I wouldn't have played him anyway. But he did go through our red zone work yesterday that we do on Sundays, and I anticipate him playing.
Kevin Shaw's a receiver. JUCO transfer, came in redshirt last year, but he's kind of come on and second leading receiver so far. What have you seen out of him through these first 4 games?
I thought Kevin had offensively probably the most solid fall camp. And so it's no surprise to me that he's having the production he's having because of what I saw in fall camp. And I think he's balanced. He and Noah being back will help balance out some of the things that people can do to double AGG, I think. So excited about having both of those.
Coach, we're a third of the way through the regular season. What are you most pleased with, and what's your biggest concern right now?
Biggest concern is depth. It's just, you know, when you go through the injury report and you say, ooh, that one stings, that one stings, that one stings, and you know, and I just know that it's a 12-game season is a long season for college kids. And you know, I wish that the NCAA, and I hadn't discussed this with Ian, I wish they'd let us go to like 100 scholarships for depth wise, you know, but that would be an extra burden on the schools, obviously. But you know, it hasn't changed in a long time, and the season's gotten longer and more physical. And I just worry about depth to sustain the level of play that we want to sustain throughout the entire year. Most pleased probably with the leadership of the kids we needed and our coaching staff, in particular with what and Liberty's support with what they've had to deal with my situation.
Did something happen to Isaac Steele in practice last week, or did he re-aggravate something? And then also, what's the update on Bajor Wilson?
Bajor will play. You won't be able to keep him off the field. He'll what percent he'll be at, I don't know, but he'll play. Isaac has struggled with a hamstring for a while now, and hopefully, but the report today was he was about 85% this morning, so we're hopeful that he'll be able to play also.
Also, how would you grade your special teams as a whole from this past game?
I think Tanner Burns is doing just an extraordinary job. I mean, I really do. I think obviously he was upset with the penalties, you know, but two of them I question. Well, one I really question, and the other I question too. And one was a legit, you know, call that affected the play. So he was frustrated with those penalties, and obviously our safe punt team, we had not coached well enough on that to get the bounce off of a helmet. That shouldn't happen in safe punt. No way, no shape, no form should that happen, because we're not trying to return the ball. We just want to have possession of the ball after the punt. So and Tanner is the first one to say, Coach, I you know what, that's on me. I haven't covered that with this cornerback in particularly. But I think he's doing it. I said in his meetings, and man, he just does a great job. And if you look at our rankings, some of them are skewed a little bit, I think. I mean, if we'd had those 3 returns the other night, boy, we would be way up there. But our kickoff cover unit has done a phenomenal job. I thought our punting team the other night, when we had to pin teams down, did an outstanding job. And Caleb Coleman is really standing out he's on every special team except for PAT field goal, and is doing a great job. PAT field goal team has not really been, you know, I have such a small sample size to judge that on right now. So I don't really have a feeling one way or another on that. I see him in practice. He's got the ability to do it now. He's just got to carry it over into the games. But I really have been pleased with our teams.
You mentioned this Saturday how you want to average between 4 or 5 yards a carry. Right now, you take away the 3 explosive touchdown runs this year, and your team's averaging 2.2 yards a carry.
Yeah.
What do you want to see out of that particular unit to make sure it complements the passing attack?
Well, I'd like to see 4 yards a carry, 4 to 5 a carry, and that's one of the things that we worked on yesterday in our Sunday, you know, whatever you call it. We spent 40 minutes on the field, and I think we did some things yesterday that may help us some, and then probably there's some more rushing yards out there that we don't get because we choose to pull it and throw it. I can help that some by the way I call the game. But, you know, at the end of the game, you want to look and make sure that your average hopefully is around 4 to 5.
How much do you believe in momentum, not in a game, but from week to week? You know, you've now got 2 straight wins. Do you think that's something that can build on itself week to week? I
think every kid's different. I think that means something to some kids, and it means absolutely zero to the other kids because of their aptitude for mental toughness. They may have had an issue with a girl this morning, and because of that, their whole week is bad, you know, and there's no momentum. Or they had an issue at home, and or they're having academic issues, or this teacher was, everybody's different. And when you collect a group of 115 players in a room, trust me that everybody responds differently. And I think the toughest job of a coach is to get those 115 pointed in the same direction, as many as possible in the same direction, and understand momentum and understand preparation and how you prepare for a game every single week, no matter the opponent. And that is frustrating, and it's something I have to pray for patience about, and hopefully lead by example as much as I can. But I don't give too much credence to the fact, hey, we won 2 games, our kids will be sky high Saturday night on momentum. I do think confidence is helped by winning 2 games. Particularly, you see, we beat a really good Buffalo team. I don't know how many know that, but we beat a really good Buffalo team, and that should give us confidence. And then we did some good things the other night that should give us more confidence. Buckshot, 2 games in a row, has taken care of the ball and been efficient. So I do think the 2 games have given us some confidence. I don't know as a team if our team would even, what they would say about momentum right now. They'd probably stare at me if I said, do you think we have momentum? But if I ask them, do you feel confident about where we are right now, I think you'd get a lot of nods in our team meeting.
You guys announced your program's partnership with the Angel Army organization. Just how did that come to be, and maybe why that's so important to you for your program to be partnered with them?
I'm very glad you asked that. I was actually supposed to, Rachel reminded me to talk about that, and I think the press release came out today. I haven't seen it yet, but long story short, Jill and I have had the Freeze Foundation for 7 years, I think, 6 to 7 years. In which our whole mission was, orphan and foster care and needy children. And our first endeavor, we adopted a village in Haiti, and we were able, through the partnerships that we funded through the Freeze Foundation to Water Missions International and 410 Bridge and Farming God's Way, we were able to take the whole community there called Camp Marie in Haiti and get them irrigation where they had fresh water, irrigation to the area where they could grow crops, fresh water to their village from a spring up in a mountain, and also refurbish a building so that they could have a schoolhouse for their children. And once we completed that, we also partnered with Reclaim Project and sent 2 couples for the last 5 years over to South Africa to run an orphanage there. And well, when I decided to get back into coaching and this opportunity came, I had been running it pretty much, Jill and I, and I don't enjoy really asking people to, Jill and I are going to give our part. We believe in that. We believe in giving, and really feel strongly about that. So we decided, look, I just managing the taxes of it and this and that and the letters to the people that donate to it, and really we were just a pass through anyway, because we would go search out others to partner with to say, hey, we'll give you the money if you'll do this project for us. We decided to dissolve that and began to pray, though, God, where do you want our resources and our time to be spent in this area? Believers, non-believers, whatever. I don't know. I've never met a coach that didn't care about kids. And so we just began to pray, and Chris Tomlin's a good friend of mine, and, out of the blue, I get a call from him and his CEO of Angel Armies that they just started. And he and Lauren, his wife, have been so convicted about the crisis of foster care within the United States. And it just spoke volumes to me, because we've been going a lot of different places, but I in Mississippi, where I was, it was an issue there too, and I'm sure it is in Virginia. And they just had this wild idea of, hey, we had given some money that was left in the Freeze Foundation to help start Angel Armies. So I guess they thought, that was Jill and my heart to And so in the call, they said, we've got this strange idea, and I have no idea if it's NCAA permissible or if you want to do this. But, man, how would you and Jill like to partner with us and kind of be the first college football team that tried to make a difference in keeping kids out of foster care? So Angel Armies has two ends. They want to get them out and be adopted, or they want to keep them out of ever being in the system. And that's where our football team, so we flew out to Denver, Colorado. Jill and I did, to Red Rocks to Tomlin's concert, and we really sat down and just heard the heart and the mission, and we felt like, this is what we were praying for, is to partner with that, and then to be able to include Liberty and our football team in it. I think's a great idea that they had, and I really think college football could make a huge dent in foster care and keeping kids out of foster care in their given states. And we get to be the first team to really have the trial run with it, and hopefully we can get out all the kinks and then present it to other college football programs, say, hey, it's press and play. All it takes is you and your wife being willing to fund it, and or going to get some others that will help you fund it, which I know college football coaches can. And so Jill and I said, we'll commit to helping fund our portion of Liberty Football's partnership with Angel Armies. And I had two good friends that helped me also. And so we formed 10 teams, 10 position groups, and each got $10,000 for the season. And every Sunday our wives come in and present to each position group the needs of a city they've adopted. And it's been unbelievably blessing. Just to hear the running backs yesterday were the ones I listened to, and man, it was hard. It's hard for them, here's 10 needs in this city. I want to do them all, but you got a budget, and it's difficult, and and then to see them sort through, all right, how do we make this decision this week, and then hopefully next week, if that one hasn't been, they're still not in the system yet, and we can meet the need of getting them beds or paying electricity bills or whatever the needs may be. And so I think I covered it pretty thoroughly, pretty quickly, as quick as I can, but that's how it works. And I think it should be, I really think college football, I just have this belief that, can you imagine, I won't use two teams, but I started to, but can you imagine if 3 or 4 FBS programs in a given state said, you know what, all our teams are going to do what I just described. We're going to be able to meet the needs of almost 1,000 kids just this season with the way we have it set up. And if every team were to do that, I mean, you're going to put a dent in kids that are entering the foster care system because you're going to help meet needs. And I think whether or not for me, it's easy because James 1:27, I don't know that I have an option. I believe that's a mandate for me as a believer. But even if you're not, a chance to help children have a fighting chance to have a better life. And we don't know their names. We just know the needs. But I think one day we'll probably, they'll know it was us that helped. We won't know who it was. But I can't wait to hear some of the stories that come from it. I've already seen some, not from our team, but from just the other arms of Angel Armies and what they've done, and I've seen some of the testimonies, and it'll break your heart and make you cheer. And I can't wait of the 1,000 families that we're going to be able to touch this season. Can't wait to one day kind of hear some of those stories. Did I cover it good enough for you? So I think you should publicize that. I think that's something worth getting out.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about Pop Robinson, his role from last week. You'd had some stuff planned for him. Obviously now it's a little bit more, I guess, urgent to get him prepared with JB going out. But your assessment of his performance last week?
Well, you had part of that right. My plan for him was not to be the backup quarterback, but to be our change-up in run game to add an additional gap that they have to work for every week in defending in quarterback runs, and which I thought he has a little knack for. And so now you've got to look at that and say, now I've got to get Landon ready to be the backup. Not that Pop's not. I don't want to say that Pop's not the backup. But I got to be prepared for another guy because we're going to run him because we're going to make ourselves as difficult to defend as possible. And I know the hours you have to spend as a defensive coach saying, oh, my gosh, now we got to also defend the +1 runs because they'll do that too. And now that takes time out of practice. So I got to get both of those kids ready to be our backup, if that makes sense.
One last one from me. Is Frank Boyd back at running back now?
He is, yes.
You mentioned Saturday. Are you going to try out Henry Van Deelen and see if he's the possible backup in case he does things better than Landon?
Yeah, we'll start experimenting with that this week, kind of where we are. As we start sharing the number 2 reps, we'll see how, Landon and Pop do. And, if it's all about competition. It's not about – you got to earn it. And if those two do well, that's probably where we'll start. If those two don't do well, then it's next man up in my mind, and we've got to go see who that is. So, I wouldn't count anybody out of being in the quarterback rotation.
Last of 3 straight home games this weekend. Does that put more importance on this game to make sure it goes in the win column?
I'll make no bones about it. Yes, absolutely. You have to win at home. And now I don't say all I'm saying is it puts more importance on it to me. After it's over, win, lose, or draw, we'll move on to the next one and make it important too. But in my mind, winning a game at home is important, particularly before we go on this road.
To add on to that, Coach, I know it's just one game, but after this weekend, you're going to be either pretty big difference mentally based on what happens.
Yeah, we won't give in mentally, regardless of what the outcome is. So you'll have to address it differently. And obviously, we've done some things that we have to improve on if we're not able to win the game. But this game could go either way. It's a toss-up in my mind. I don't know that our roster's better than theirs or theirs is better than ours. I don't know that. I've never played them, and they got a lot of older kids on their roster. But it's winnable. It's also losable. So this is going to be this is one of those toss-up games.
Looking at the offensive line play, has it gotten better from week 1, or do you expect to still be competition there among the 5?
Yeah, I think that is a bit deceptive. I mean, when we had to run the ball against Buffalo to seal the game, we did. We've gotten some bigger personnel groups, and we're able to run it. And then last week we had some good running lanes that we didn't take advantage of because we threw it some. And then we had some explosive runs last week. This is a game where I think we need to average that 4 and 5 dirty runs type when we have to. And so that's a good question for next week. It really is. I'd like to answer that one next week.
What concerns you most about New Mexico?
Their offense. Just it's good. It's well planned out. It has answers. They throw RPOs, quarterbacks, dual threat, that and just the different variety of defenses you get. Those two things.
You got a chance to know Joe Daly a little bit after you were hired and before he left to go to New Mexico. What stands out to you about him and his offensive play calling?
I thought he was very, very, very sharp, professional, very intelligent, knows the game, has studied the game. I know he studied our stuff when I was at Ole Miss, and not that he had to, but I know he did, and we talked about that, but he did well here too, and I'm impressed with what he's doing, and what he's doing has answers, and I like watching teams and saying, well, they don't have an answer if you do this. I really do. I like that, and I can't say that this week they have answers.